All right, before we get started, let's go over a few things. One, I'm having an exceptionally bad hair day, and I apologize to all of you for that. Number two, I am not now, nor have I ever been a lawyer. All of this is opinion and speculation. Third, if I hope I'm pronouncing the name right here, Elise Glink, the author of 100 Questions Every First Time Homebuyer Should Ask. This is a Q&A or an Ask Me Anything that they did. Fourth, we don't know what state it is, but the Washington Post has the article. Fifth, this is going to be a long one. Sorry, a lot of good meat on the bone here, but is it okay for a landlord to break your apartment lease? My landlord gave a termination notice to vacate the rental home on October 23rd, 2021, for the following reason. During the pandemic era, it has been truly hard for my business to be profitable at renting this property. He wants to sell it. The renters here are lucky, in my opinion, in that here in Vegas, once your lease is done and you go month to month, if the landlord, the property owner, wants to do anything with that property, they just give you a 30-day notice. Most of the people that I have dealt with were on that 30-day notice. In a time where you can barely find a rental at all, we had to go out there, dig, scratch, fight, and claw to get what we got for our people. So they've got time. If you've got time, take it. A lot of the landlords that you'll see later on, this isn't personal at all. They're going through financial hardships too. It was part of their long term strategy to sell around this point in time in history. It just so happened that they got lucky that home prices shot up the way that they have. All right, less than 3 months ago, we recently signed a new lease for May 2021 through April 30, 2022. We have never missed a payment in any given month, but our landlord allowed us to pay two payments each month. That is critical and crucial to this whole thing. We always send text messages advising on the dates and each month we could pay to confirm if okay. We always received a yes response until he stopped answering totally in June. However, he has since said that he did get the notices and accepted the payment. It's absolutely horrible that people, instead of just having an adult, maybe uncomfortable conversation, will ghost you like that. But remember these: splitting the payments up, text messages. We verbally advised him of our situation. I'll go ahead and stop right there. It doesn't matter what you do verbally. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. But I live in a state where verbal contracts totally valid. Sure. And if it doesn't happen in writing on paper, it never happened. All right. We have no savings. We live paycheck to paycheck, and we've experienced great financial hardship since we lost one of our incomes due to the pandemic. We've recently filed for bankruptcy, so we can't qualify to purchase a home right now. I'm not going to nitpick that last sentence. My heart does go out to these folks, though. I've been in very similar situations. I know a lot of folks out there have been in very similar situations, and it's just rough all across the board. But we're getting through it. We're getting better each day. I was hoping we'd have more time to save up by the end of the lease. I was hoping to find a new job. Nothing I said seemed to move him. He basically said he has his own financial problems too. That is more common than you think. It isn't personal. It may feel personal. Rarely is it personal. Is there anything we can do to stay in the home? Can we get emergency rental funds? Google rental assistance in each state that you're in. Out here, CHAPS covers it. So just Google assistance Las Vegas, rental assistance CHAPS. They, excuse me, they have people waiting on you. He is expecting to continue to receive his rent each month until we leave. Well, he should. You agreed to pay it. He wants to purchase our storage unit that we bought, stating it is a requirement that we leave it when departing the residence. If it's not in that contract, if it's not on that paper, it never happened. Don't believe any of that nonsense. All right. And here comes a lot of the answers. We're not surprised that your landlord says he's done renting and wants to sell the property. Okay, this is just going into why we advise to buy and hold real estate. Again, this was a lot of timeline plans for some landlords. A lot of them actually had planned to sell about this time and move on to the next phase of their investment journeys. That's what that's covering. While you didn't include your location in the email, home prices have accelerated at a breakneck pace over the past few years. Let's check out, remember guys, the A in Zillow, it stands for accuracy. According to Zillow, home prices rose 16.7% and are expected to rise more than 12% over the next year. I've been saying that, we've been saying that home prices are going to continue to rise. We're not going to see a bubble burst because there is no bubble. We're not going to see a bottom fall out because it's a supply and demand issue. It's been like that since the very beginning. Uh, I know the numbers here that they're talking about Western cities and states are just wrong. According to Apartment List, the first half of 2021 has seen the fastest growth in rent prices. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first year in a long time, maybe ever, that all 50 states increased their rent. And if you remember from past videos, the average rental across the nation is $1,800 a month. The average mortgage is $1,400 a month. Which, I mean, are you going to pay somebody else's mortgage off or are you going to pay your mortgage off? If you have any issues with your credit, anything like that, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. If we don't start fixing things now, it's the interest rates are going to keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. You're going to be losing buying power. All right, let's start with the lease term. You've indicated that it was for a full year, but does the lease give your landlord the ability to break the lease and end it early? From the landlord side, these things almost always have, if you damage the place, if you're dealing drugs or doing any kind of illegal activities, if you burn it to the ground, they can break the lease. On the tenant side, there are usually several of those options built in. There's almost always a buyout clause. So read everything that you sign. If it doesn't make any sense, don't sign it. There's almost always an out, though. Remember that. All right. All right, but if you're paying on time, and you are not because you're breaking the payment into two parts, and the landlord is accepting those payments, and your lease does not permit the landlord to cancel the lease for any reason, then you should be able to stay and may even be protected by local or state laws governing how landlords interact with tenants. This is where it gets tricky. And again, not a lawyer, not a judge. Find a real estate lawyer in your neck of the woods if you're having any problems like this, because the judge could wake up on the wrong side of the bed and interpret this in two different ways. He could interpret it as saying, if you're not following the exact letter written in that contract, then you're at fault. He could be saying, well, because you guys have been texting back and forth and agreeing to the split payments stand. Again, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not a lawyer. You need to look at the terms of your lease, whether your landlord has the right to kick you to the curb, under what conditions agreed. And yeah, down here to the personal property, we'll wrap up with this. You should be fine with the storage shed, even if you attached it to the house, as long as you didn't damage the house when you moved it and left the house as good, if not better than when you found it. The only real issue that we can think about here would be if you took out the old cabinets, put up new cabinets, and because these new cabinets are so fancy, you want to take them with you. Well, you damaged the property putting them up there. You're probably going to be found at fault. So I know that a lot of people have been bullied. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. Again, we're here to help you. I've got people in Arizona, Texas, South Carolina. I'm holding it down here in Vegas. I got people in Reno too. If you need any help, give me a call, 803-270-4331. God bless and good night.